Hello friends, this is a video on how to do some descriptive analysis with Julius and get the same response you get with SPSS. I mentioned in the prompt engineering video, and if you didn't watch that video, that should be your first stop to watch to learn about prompt engineering and how to let Julius know what you need from it in order to get SPSS results. But I mentioned that vanilla R and vanilla Python will not give you the exact same answers you would get in SPSS. So we have to take special steps to make sure that we get that. And so I'm going to do prompt engineering just a little differently in this video than I did in the other one. So I'll show you kind of why and how I'm doing that. So again, I'm working on a thread. I'll probably do a video version of this later where I do a workflow like this. But right now I'm just going to paste in that block of instructions that I've written, that I've provided here for you, either on YouTube or on our Statistics Resource Center, just some basic instructions that I'm giving Julius that I've written. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to load JMV and Formatable, two libraries that are important to the way that we want to do analysis. JMV actually uses the statistical formulas that will give us SPSS results, and then Formatable just gives us nice tables instead of just text output tables. So I'm going to say load JMV and Formatable. I'm just going to put already installed because they are already installed. This is kind of like when I say it's installed, it's like having an app installed on your computer. When I'm telling R to load it, or I'm telling Julius to load it, it's like opening the app so it's ready to use. Back before the awesome guys at Julius pre-installed JMV and Formatable, it would take 12 minutes to get these installed so that we could then use them. They're already installed now. All we have to do is just tell it to load it. Okay, so the next step that I'm going to do is different than I did last time. So now I'm going to go over here to this documentation. There's a couple places where I can get it. I can go rdocumentation.org, or I could actually go to the JMVR plugin. But I'm actually finding the documentation for the specific thing that I want to do with Julius. And I'm just going to highlight this documentation. I'm going to copy it. And I'm going to go over to Julius and say, we're going to be doing some descriptives analysis. You'll need this documentation. Because the documentation is, let's see, and it just pasted it into a text file for me. The documentation just lets it know what the code is it should use. And it can sort of figure that out by running some prompts to prompt the functions in the library that we've loaded. But it helps a lot to just flat out give it the documentation that it needs. And so basically, since we're going to be doing descriptives, it makes sense to just give it that documentation straight up, just as I might give it the documentation for an ANOVA or an ANCOVA if I'm going to be doing that. Do I have to do it? Not necessarily, but it sure does make the experience easier, because there are going to be fewer issues with the code that it writes because I've given it the specific syntax that it needs. So I'm looking at the final result here. This appears to be documentation text about descriptive statistics rather than data. The file contains documentations about the descriptions function in JMV. Let me know when you'd like to proceed with the actual data analysis and what you'd like to work with. Okay, so now I'm going to load my data. And I'm going to go here to My Files, but you'll go to Upload File. You'll go to Upload File and find the file on your computer, but I already have it loaded here. So it's testing descriptives is the file, and I'm going to say ingest this data. Or I could just say create a data frame, or I mean, there's all kinds of ways I could ask for it, but it knows what I'm asking for. I'm going to pause the video while it loads that. Okay, so it went ahead and ingested that data. Notice that per my instructions, at the end of every prompt, it's letting me know what JMV has done and what JMV hasn't done. And JMV hasn't done anything yet. But the goal here is, by providing the documentation and everything, I want JMV to do every analysis that it possibly can. Because if it's not from JMV, I don't know for sure that it's going to match SPSS. So if it's a calculation, it's done with some other package, I don't know whether or not I can trust it. It's going to be a true statistical result, but it may not be the exact statistical result that I would get with SPSS. So that's why there's this thing at the end of each block letting me know what JMV did and what it didn't do. So now what I'm going to do is, let's pick a continuous variable. Let's say, run these descriptives on, let's just say age, the variable age. And we'll say mean, median, mode, lowest, highest, range, standard deviation, we could just say SD, variance, skewness, kurtosis, we can even say quartiles. That's enough. And so I'm going to go ahead and let it run that. And I'll pause while it's running that. Okay, so we're back. And again, looking at the bottom line, because this is always important to me. Did JMV get used? Yes, it did. Analysis was performed using JMV descriptives, and I get my output there. And I could ask for it in a nicer table. Let me say, and it should have done it automatically, but sometimes it forgets. Provide that results table in formatable. So formatable are the nice tables, the pretty tables. While it's doing that, I'll go over here and say analyze descriptive statistics frequencies for univariate. This is an easy way to do it. And I'll reset this so you can see the steps that I'm taking. I'm putting age over here, and then under statistics, I'm doing quartiles, mean, median, mode, sum, skewness, kurtosis. I wouldn't normally ask for all these things, but since I'm just kind of showing that we get the same responses. And then I'm going to uncheck display frequency tables, and we'll get that output. And basically, I should be getting the same thing here in Julius. So let's check it. So mean here in Julius is 19.84. So mean in SPSS 19.84. Median is 20. That's what I get here. Mode is 19. Yep. Standard deviation 1.851. So where's my standard deviation? 1.85 is rounded there. That's perfectly fine. Let's see. Variance 3.429. Seeing the same thing with the variance here. It's just rounded. Skewness negative 0.189. And I'm getting that here. It's rounded to negative 0.19. By the way, I could give it instructions for how much I want it to be rounded. As a matter of fact, I think, yeah. So in the actual original output from JMV, before I had it put it in a nice table for me, it wasn't rounded yet. So here you can see, like, if we look at skewness, negative 1.89, and so you can see when I go to skewness here, negative 0.189. So you can see we're getting the same results. And then for percentiles, for 25%, we get 19. For 50, we get 20. For 75, we get 21. We get the same results there. So this is just univariate descriptives. But honestly, if you just used vanilla R Python, you would not get these exact numbers. You would get numbers that were very close, but not exactly the same. And so that's why it's so important for it to use JMV, and so important for me to be watching the JMV status to see, is it using JMV or is it using something else? If it uses something else, I want to tell it, no, go back and do it with JMV, because then I know I'm getting the right results. Let's do this by group. So let's say that we're working with the age category. So we say run these descriptives for age by, what are some of our continuous variables here? Let's see, let's do it by stress level. For age by stress level, and then we'll just do the same thing, mean, median, mode. We don't need some of these others. Let's say standard deviation and skew. We don't have to do all of it. And so we'll run that, and I'll go over here and I'll do analyze descriptive statistics and explore, and I'll reset this, and our age is going to be our dependent. And then I think we said, was it education that we said we were running that based off of? What did we say we're running it off of? Stress level. So we'll take stress level. See variable names, the easier. Stress level, and then for statistics, we'll do just descriptives, and we're basically going to get that same output. So let's see what we're getting over here. So we get mean for the low stress group is 19.87. And by the way, again, it says it was done with JMV, so I can trust it. 19.879. So we get seeing the same thing here. For median, we're getting 20. For mode, where is it? It's not even giving me mode here. We'll look at standard deviation is 1.948. So 1.948. So you see what I'm saying? We're getting the same results, which is exactly what we would hope to get. And, simple stuff like group split. We could say, what is the case split for stress level? And we will get this same case processing that we get here, 33, 36, and 31. But we'll just double check, watch it do its thing. Yep, so here you see, as it rendered that out, 33, 36, and 31, just as we get here, and it gives me percentages. And so we would get that here. I have what I have in SPSS is missing percent and valid percent. But if I asked it for cumulative percent or percent by group, it would give me that, and I'd get the same thing. In this case, it didn't use JMV because something as simple as case split, it can use something else. And it's one of the things that I need to know. It can do that without JMV. I don't have to have, like, when we're just counting how many individuals are in, how many cases are in each group, we don't need JMV for that. And as a matter of fact, I don't even think JMV has a native function for that. It might, but I don't think it does. Okay, so basically this is just your basic walkthrough of descriptives. And just to show you the power of what this can do when I'm not, spending my time just comparing side-by-side screens, I could say, show descriptive information and plots for, I could just say all continuous variables in the data set with a summary. This is where AI really shines. And I'll let it write that, and I'll come right back as soon as it's okay. So it's still kind of just finished. So I can see that it used JMV for the analyses. And so here, if I go it's giving me plots so I can see these distributions, and it's showing me the density curves. And then I get a summary of each one. What's the mean? What's the median? Standard deviation? It's going through the whole thing. And then it's giving me the observations. And again, this data is as fake as an expiration date on a water bottle, but it would do this if I had real data. Sample consists of young adults with a narrow age range. Anxiety scores show the highest variability. Sleep hours show. So you see this is where the power of AI really comes in, because it's helping just provide some conclusions about those descriptive data points. So this was a quick run through. If there are other kinds of descriptive tasks that you want me to test or that you want me to make a video about, please let me know, and I'd be happy to go back and do another video. But hopefully this has been helpful for you as we talk about how to migrate from SPSS to Julius and get the same kinds of results.